Thank you for having me present my views. I will briefly or soon share my presentation with you, which is long, but I have to go through it very quickly. It's always too long a presentation like that. My background in a few sentences. In 1985, I started my first company. It was the first AI company in the Netherlands, and one of the very first AI companies in Europe, I think. Moved to Silicon Valley with my company, and after that created 21 more companies. Not all very small companies. Well, my first one was about 150 people. The largest one was 25,000 people in 60 countries. So I could call myself an entrepreneur, a serial entrepreneur. My vision, of course, is that sustainable business is driven purely by entrepreneurs. Government is behind, always behind, and investors are not always necessary and not always play a very nice role in businesses as far as my experience goes. Then in 1997, my life changed a little bit changed a lot, because in that year I met with some iconic people in sustainable business, namely Ben Cohen, who created Ben and Jerry's, Yvon Chouinard, who created Patagonia, and Anita Roddick, who created The Body Shop. And they had created an organization that I will tell you something about in my presentation. So I think I will flip to my presentation now, because otherwise I have told you everything without can you see this? Is this okay?
Yes.
Good.
Yes, we can. Yeah, right.
I'm sharing my share. Let me see how I can go forward. Well, thinking about sustainability, this whole movement of people taking care of the planet or of nature started pretty early in the, let's say, the 1800s, and maybe even before that we don't know of. People who, one of the most famous person is Rachel Carson, who wrote this book Silent Spring, that not many people have heard of, but it prevented DDT, which was a poison to be used in agriculture. And so the Sierra Club is one of the oldest clubs taking care of nature. So, and if you look further, then we had the Club of Rome, who wrote Limits to Growth. Not much happened to that. It was very widespread, that book, but you can wonder why not very much happened after that. Then Ben Cohen and the people that I just mentioned earlier created Social Venture Network, and that was a big change in the world of sustainability, because before that, companies were kind of dirty, profits was not very nice, and entrepreneurs were not seen as people who could make any change in the world. And that changed with this organization, which was founded in 1987, is still existing, and it changed a lot, because for the first time there was a group of entrepreneurs, hippies. They were real hippies. There were a group of entrepreneurs who thought there was something different to making a company run. It was not only about the money, and that was my background, because I was trained as an accountant and I have a master's in business economics. So I thought it was about money and growth. But this group of people showed that it was about a purpose. So the question was, why is your company here? Well, that is a very difficult question to answer for many companies still. Why is your company here? Just to make money, just for the shareholders, or does it have a wider purpose? And that was so new that I decided to join SVN, became the chairman of SVN Europe, and out of SVN came later the whole B-Lab community. So the DNA, and that's why I showed that DNA sign or picture in my first slide of the presentation. the DNA of the whole B Lab community goes way, way, way back, and that is it's a community of people, a community of business people who think they can really make an impact in the world. And if you then think about the definition of a company, what is a company? Then there is this professor Colin Meyer at Oxford Business School, Said Business School, who has this phenomenal definition. Companies are here to solve the problems in society and make money with that. So they have to solve a problem in society. Now you can also say, well, the cigarette industry solves a problem in society because people are addicted to cigarettes, so they solve that problem of addiction. But they are still not a valid company, because while at the same time they should not create a problem that costs society money, which is the whole smoking industry is costing society a lot of money. And what you then see here is that there are externalities. That is one of the biggest problems of the whole sustainability movement, that is not quite well seen. An externality is a cost to society that is created by a company. So, for example, in the Netherlands, we pump up gas, and we make a lot of money with that, and solving the energy problem with that gas. We have done that for many, many years. But at the same time, we create a huge hidden cost for society, because the houses started to fall down. There are earthquakes, and who is taking care of that cost? And that is, of course, it should be the company who creates it, but it isn't. It's society that has to, and those are called externalities. And externalities you see all over the world, and those are costs that are being taken by society and not by the companies who create them. So go back to the DNA of a B Corp. I found it, created B Lab Europe. We now have 5,000 B Corps, created it in 2013, and it is not a certification. Many people see it as a certification. It came forward out of Social Venture Network, a bunch of hippies who said we have the company and the company should have a purpose in the world. So then the B Corps came as actually fighting against shareholder primacy. And but we see the B Corps as a community of business leaders that have a kind of a certification to enter. That whole certification is changing every year to become heavier. And that is now going through a fundamental change again. It's about protecting that community. And the community is signing, every company that enters that community signs a declaration of interdependence. That is super important, because the Declaration of Interdependence is exactly 180 degrees different from what's happening in America at this moment in time. That is independence, not interdependence. And interdependence is what all those companies need to work together on creating a better world using their business. And it's quite often that the entrepreneurs are seen as the change makers of society, and I personally believe that is the case, that they are quicker, they invest, they see opportunities, and the B Corps are intrinsically driven business leaders. I also think that is crucial. Intrinsically driven means that there's nothing else, there is no law needed. So right now you see laws coming up in Europe called CSRD, and the CSRD laws and other regulations are needed for companies that don't think that doing business with a purpose is normal. But luckily there are tens of thousands of companies that are being ran by people who think that they should have a purpose. They have a responsibility towards society. One of the big mistakes made in sustainability, I always mention, is that people think we're saving the planet. It's not such a thing like that. We don't know how the planet works. Even we are saving humanity, not the planet. The planet will save itself. The planet doesn't need saving. Humanity does. So planet will continue for 4.5 billion more years, has already been here for 4.5 billion years. Humanity is just boom and gone. And that is so, but that definition of sustainability determines quite often the discussion about sustainability. It is all about the global warming, like it's all about saving the planet. Those are all wrong misperceptions. And the perceptions that need to be brought to the audience are the holistic approach of sustainability. And I have given you some examples here in this slide. There are many, many more aspects. And we need to look, it would be helpful if we look for aspects of sustainability that people feel, that people see, that they see their food, they see the lack of water, of clean water. In the Netherlands, people know, or some people know, that the price of water will go up over the coming years because it's becoming more difficult to clean. So we will have a shortage of water here 10 to 15 years from now, or maybe even before that. Those are the problems that people feel. As long as people don't feel them and don't see them, they are not there, the problems. And that is one of the biggest challenges that we have to take the masses with us, as I showed earlier in this. How do we inspire the masses, the people to join? People have other problems. People in Gaza don't talk about sustainability. They have other problems. People in Peru, Chile, Africa, they have other problems. So, but how do we inspire them to join us? And so the B Corps are now, you would think, quite massive. Those are the examples of, in my perception, how businesses should be ran. There are now about 10,000 B Corps all over the world. There's about 40,000 benefit corporations, and there are about 300,000 companies who use the B Corp methodologies to run their company. So, but still, there are 340 million companies in the world. So still, it's a very small percentage of companies that are being ran. I also promised that I would give you some examples of companies that have a purpose, that make a profit, that can be successful. Because many people always tell me we need inspiring examples. Young people need inspiring examples. And if you think about sustainability in general, it has a negative tendency to it. The cost will go up. Who will pay for this? There is legislation. It makes it more difficult. There is so much regulation now that companies cannot handle it anymore. So we need examples of success moving in the right direction. Because if we don't have enough examples of success, and Elon Musk used to be an example of success, but I don't know if he's still an example of success to many people, but he used to be somebody who really changed the world of mobility. And so I've taken some examples for example, this company. I don't know if everybody knows the company. It's a Dutch company. They did not exist about 15 years ago, and they created slavery-free chocolate. So it began as a social enterprise. Social enterprises really address a problem in society. So slavery-free. There are still about 50 million slaves right now in the world, or maybe even more. And the slavery is big in the chocolate industry, in the coffee industry, in the clothing industry. There's a lot of slavery going on. So also in the world of chocolate. So they created this. This was expensive chocolate, not the cheapest chocolate, but very well designed. They came from a company out of nothing. 15 years ago, they're now the #1 in the Netherlands. They're very big in the US already. So they are very successful, $260 billion company, and fighting slavery-based chocolate. So then this company is one of the icons of sustainable companies, Grayston Bakery. They employ people that have no reference. There's no need to do reference checking, because the majority of the people working in this factory are either have been drug addicts or have been in jail, cannot find the job anywhere else. So the slogan is not we don't create they create brownies. We don't hire people to create brownies. We create brownies to hire people. So they invented a system called open hiring, well known all over the world. People just can join. They're not being checked. They can find a job and find a future. And very successful, iconic, sustainable company. This company, Moyer Coffee, is creating their coffee in Ethiopia. Normally, the coffee beans are being shipped out of all those African countries or South African countries to the Netherlands, which is one of the biggest coffee producing countries in the world. And that's where the whole production process takes place. And that means that that's where most of the margins are being made, the profits are being made. And this company moved their whole supply chain and the whole production center back to Ethiopia. So the farmers make far more money. This company is one of the biggest circular metal companies. They mine from scrap metal, and they're able to mine with the use of AI technologies virgin material, almost virgin aluminum material out of the scrap. And that helped them to make a bigger margin. It's about a 400 million euro company. It's big in scrap metal all over the world, make higher margins, are a cleaner company, and they mine in old metal. And that's how they help the mining to stop the mining a little bit that is taking place to get virgin material out of the soil. And so those four companies, in my perception, are examples that we need. And you can see that in every industry sector, there are examples of companies who make a higher margin. And I really think that is important, because it doesn't damage the profitability of those companies. It increases the profitability of those companies. And why is that so important? That is important because we want to inspire entrepreneurs and big companies to move in that direction. And as long as the big companies think that the real profits are being made the old-fashioned way only, they will not move. They will not move. We can scream and yell and do whatever we want, but they will not move, because the shareholder grip on many companies is so strong, and the wish to keep the status quo intact is so strong, that we need stronger forces to push companies in the direction that really help the world to be a better place. And that's how I spend my day, and that's what I do all the time. I've been doing over 40 years, and slowly but certainly you see companies move over in the right direction. Having said that, I only had 20 minutes, so I think I am there now. I can talk for hours more, but that is not allowed, so that is fine now.